So again, welcome everybody. I'm going to tell you a story about forest. And it's not this forest. It's also not a forest. No, it's Forrest. Forrest Gump, known from the movie Forrest Gump. And one of his famous quotes is, "My mama always told me, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get." And this is actual code. You can really run it, and then you get this in the console. So this quote inspired me, and I rephrased it a little bit into generics. You never know what you're gonna get. And it inspired me to write an article about it and give a talk about it. But what could go wrong with generics? Well, I collected a few examples. Required type capture of question mark extends candy, provided gummy bear. What does that mean? Or this is one of my favorites. Required and provided are the same, but still an error. List of byte cannot be compiled because type argument cannot be of a primitive type. Both methods have the same erasure. Cannot access class object of a type parameter, and type parameter t cannot be instantiated directly. So what is going on here? And in this small talk, I'll try to demystify these errors and that you can leave the room with clear understanding of what is happening here. And we know in our profession, shit happens. We have to deal with it every day, and we have to try to do better. First, a little bit about me. I'm Bram Janssens. I'm a trainer consultant at InfoSupport, and my motto is, actually, it's quite simple. I like to explain complicated topics to people and that they leave the room saying this to me and to themselves. I also like to umpire in baseball, brewing my own beer, and I like sunflowers. For the story, I need to introduce the main characters to you. And it's quite a coincidence that we are in a movie theater right now, so I really like that. But the main character is, of course, Forrest. He likes to run. But he also likes Jenny very much. And she likes candies, but she absolutely hates gummy bear. You have to remember that. And also a friend of Forrest is called Baba, and he really likes shrimp. So one day Forrest says to Jenny, "I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is." So he decides to buy her a box of candies. But he really wants to make sure that everything is all right. So before handing it over to her, he inspects the box to smell if everything is fresh and append some items to the box if needed. So that are his requirements. And his first try is he makes a list of bytes and he adds a few bytes to it. When compiling this code, it doesn't compile and it says type argument cannot be of a primitive type. But why? What's happening here? Well, generics were introduced in Java 5. And back in the day, there was already a lot of compiled Java 4 code, and that still had to work on the JVM version 5. After that, also on the JVM version 6 and 7, and so on and so on. And guess what? Old code should still be able to run on the JVM 26 today. So the JVM is backwards compatible. And let me tell you one secret about generics in the JVM, but don't tell anyone. The JVM doesn't know generics. It just doesn't know it. But how is this achieved? Well, code at compile time containing generic type information, after compilation, it's shown like this. So this generic type information is erased. Another example, when you have a Boolean add te method, when after compilation, when you look at the bytecode, it would show like this. So t is replaced by object. And also when you use t as a return type, t is also replaced by object. And that's the reason why we cannot use primitive types as a type argument, because a primitive is not a reference type and it's not compatible with an object. This system is called type erasure. So it was clear that on the left side there were all kinds of generic type information, and during compilation everything is checked and then type information is erased. One of the implications is that because generics are a compile time construct in Java, t is gone at runtime, and we call this non-reifiable. So that's the reason why we cannot use code like this. We can declare t here, but we cannot use it as plain t in the method because it's erased. So then we get some error message like this cannot access class object of a type parameter. Basically it says just .class, and that doesn't compile. And type parameter t cannot be instantiated directly. So you cannot use t in such cases. Another implication is when compiling box of question mark, and we call question mark a wildcard, during compilation the compiler has to check if everything is okay. And that's a process that we call capturing. So the wildcard capturing is the process of inferring the type of wildcard during compilation, and the compiler calls the temporary inferred type, he calls it capture of question mark. So that's the reason, that's the explanation behind these kinds of error messages. And now you maybe understand a little bit more why this is the error message. So Forrest said, I don't want to be called stupid. So we help him out. We create this domain model with candy on top, with a smell method, so you can smell if it's fresh. A chocolate is a candy, and truffle and praline are chocolates, and a gummy bear is of course also a candy. First, a little bit about subtyping. When we have this method that expects a candy, we can of course pass a candy instance to it and also a chocolate instance to it, right? So that's common knowledge. And we say that chocolate is a subtype of candy. So that's important terminology. It's not only a subclass but also a subtype. But does the same hold when we work with generics? So suppose we have a class box of t. T we call here the type parameter. When we use box, we have to supply a type for t, which we call type argument. Can we then pass candies, so a box of candies, and also a box of chocolates, like in the simple type case? Well, when we try to compile this, the answer is no. But why not? Why isn't this allowed? Well, the answer is because we can do something in the body of this method with the box. So we can do something with the contents of the box. We can read from it and we can write to it. So this is perfectly type safe. In this context, this is code that just compiles. But if we were allowed to pass a box of chocolates to it, then a gummy bear could get added in a box of chocolates. So that would lead to a lot of heartbreak, and that's not what we want. So that this is type unsafe from this context, and if it were allowed, it would break type safety, and that's not what we want. So that's the reason why box of chocolate is not a subtype of box of candy, and in the diagram, compared to the simple super subtype relationship, there is no super subtype relationship between these two types. And we call this invariant. There is no direction pointing in any way between those two types on the right-hand side. Well, the next attempt, maybe we can overload the method, so we can still pass box of candies and box of chocolate to it. When we try to compile this, the second method doesn't compile with this error. Both methods have the same erasure. But now that you know what type erasure is, we can understand what this means, because a box of candy is basically the same as a box of chocolates. It's basically just a box. So this is not a valid overload. The next attempt we try to define a type with this syntax, meaning we can pass a box of candy and everything below candy, so chocolates, truffles, pralines. So when we call this, this will compile. In this case, we can say, compared to the simple super-subtype relationship, because we can substitute a box of chocolates where this thing is expected, we can say box of chocolate in this case is a subtype of this thing. And because the arrow points in the same direction as with the simple type hierarchy, we call this covariant, which means same direction. There are some implications with working with covariant. You can still read from the box, but you cannot write to it anymore because we have to protect type safety. So writing is not allowed here. We say that box here is a producer of candies only. We can pass a box of chocolates, no gummy bears can get added, which leads to a lot of love, and the same for candies. But are we done? No, we are not done yet, because Forrest also wanted to refill the box if needed, and we cannot do this with this code yet. So the final attempt we take is, we take this syntax, we say inspect safely a box of anything of chocolate or above chocolate. And we can still pass candies and chocolates to it. So in this case, we can replace a box of candy where this thing is expected. And as you can see in the diagram, the arrow is reversed compared to the left-hand side. That's why we call this contravariance, opposite direction. We have a winner. This is the piece of code that Forrest needs. Implications of making it contravariant is we can write to the box, but we can only write chocolates, of course, because it's at least a box of chocolates. But reading, these use cases all succeed, and that's exactly what we wanted. But reading is harder, because C can be anything, in this case a chocolate, a candy, or any object. So this box acts as a consumer. Finally, Forrest starts a company, the Bubba Gump Company, and for Bubba, shrimp are the same as candy. So he really likes them, it's just candy. And he comes up with this inspect method, which receives an array of candies. This array, this code, we can read from the array and we can write a shrimp to it. This is perfectly type-safe code. But can we pass an array of chocolates to it? In other words, is an array of chocolate a subtype of array of candy? Apparently, yes. So array is covariant by default in Java. But what happens at runtime when we execute this code? Chocolates would get mixed up with shrimp, and that leads to runtime exceptions. Arrays are covariant but not type-safe, Bubba. I'm almost out of time. Time for wrap-up. I made a nice cheat sheet for you, summarizing all the diagrams into one sheet. By default, a generic type is invariant. There is no super-subtyping relationship between them. When you use the question mark extends syntax, you make it covariant, making it a producer. And when you use this syntax, you make it contravariant, making it a consumer. There is one nice mnemonic you can remember: producer extends, consumer super, so that you know what you're dealing with. And one important thing, arrays are covariant and not type-safe. Generics, now you know what you're going to get. If you want my slides or the cheat sheet, you can find it here. If you want to reach out to me, you can find me on these channels. And thank you very much. Have a nice conference day.